Kia ora everyone. Missed the early move, nearly stopped out, but still walked away green. SGN was the standout first thing this morning. It had already made a strong move by the time I sat down at the screens. I've been slowly rebuilding confidence, and today felt like one of those moments where I just needed to take the shot. There were quite a few stocks making big moves again. SGN had already gone from $1.29 to $2 and then slowly grinded up to $2.40 before breaking to $3 by the time I was getting serious about taking a trade. ABVE broke VWAP, but I held off. It looked weak after the pullback and ended up going sideways. GAUZ showed up on the scanner and ripped from below $9 to nearly $10 while I was flipping between charts. Ended up missing that one completely. INKT was too expensive for me, but it set up beautifully and the bot actually managed a solid trade on it, but more on that in a bit. I missed the early entries on SGN, but when I pulled back after breaking $3, I finally saw my chance to get in. So let's have a look at the chart and see what happened. So I missed the early entry here on SGN as it sort of pushed up here to $2 and slowly grinded up here. There was a chance to get in here on VWAP, but I didn't get in there. I wasn't sure if it was going to break higher or break down, so I just waited for it to break. It eventually broke over to 40 and pushed up to 280, then $3. Probably a chance to have gotten in here as it pulled back off of 280, but I didn't buy in there. I waited for this pullback candle here to take my entry. I actually was a bit impatient. I got in around the whole dollar at 303, and then it dipped down to around 285, and then in the next candle dipped even further down to 274, and my stop was set around 285 at the bottom of that green candle there really. And when it came down here, I did think about selling, but I just held because I thought it would buy back up, and then I almost pushed the sell button on that dip down to 274, but it bought back up straight up to 285 and then started pushing higher. So I held in there through that pullback there, that dip, and as it pushed up here, broke over, around 319, 318, and held through that. I almost pushed my sell button here as well, but it was still showing it was going up, and then it popped up to 379, and when it popped up through here, I hit the sell button and I got a fill at 348. So I was quite happy with that trade, getting over 40 cents a share on that one, about 45 cents. So really happy with that trade, how I managed that. And then it went sort of sideways through here, did push up to 360, 370, but I didn't buy back in here. Just going sideways, wasn't quite sure. Then it dipped down here to the 9 MA, which is probably a good entry there for the pushback over up to $4. But then it dumped down to below $3, and I thought that was pretty much it. So didn't take this trade here. Thought about taking the trade off of VWAP, but I was looking at my bot, watching my bot, and just seeing how that was performing, and didn't actually concentrate on taking that entry around VWAP or the break of that first green candle there over the 20 EMA, which would have been a good trade. Getting in here on the low for the pushback over $4, if I could have held that long. Probably wouldn't have though. If I'd gotten in here, I probably would have been out on this candle here as it pulled back. Probably not willing to hold something that's dropping in a doji candle, shooting star sort of candle. So yeah. Also, I didn't want to get in on this trade as well, as if I bring it up, actually I won't bring it up because I've got everything else open. But yeah, as it came over here, the MACD crossed into the negative. So I try not to trade when the MACD's negative, although coming up, you know, here it's coming back into the positive, but by that stage the move's already done. And yeah, I didn't see any trades through there either. So stayed out of that through this region here, and that's why another reason why I didn't take that trade is it pushed back up into 4. But happy with my trade today, profit of $38.70. So yeah, that ended the week well. Yeah, so 38.70 on gross profit there. I'm not sure why that's coming up like that. I've been working on my sheet, so I've done something there. It looks like that it's adding the fees on twice, so I'll just check that out. And then there is something going on my sheet. But anyway, I had 4 green days today and this week, and you know, ended the week with a profit, which is good. So that's what I'm going to do next week as well. Have another green week next week, and you know, carry on with that level of confidence. So it's been a good week for me this week. The bot was also active today, and it took some really clean trades. SGN was one of them. You know, it ended up locking up 298 on 2 trades. But the standout was INKT, where it held through some chop and sold just under the high, banking 1,322 on that one trade. I didn't even consider trading that stock, but the script followed the setup and executed exactly how it was designed to. So overall, I'm happy with the SGN trade. It wasn't massive, but it was good to get back into the rhythm and take a trade I felt confident in. The bot continues to surprise me, following the plan better than I sometimes do. You know, still learning from both sides. Let me know if you've caught any of these moves, or if you ever hesitated just a second too long and missed your entry. Appreciate everyone who's been following along. I will catch you next week. Hei te rā wiki. I'm going to do that again because I felt like I tripped over too many words. The bot was also active today and took some really clean trades. SGN was one of them. It ended up locking up $298 on 2 trades. But the standout was INKT, where it held through some chop and sold just under the high, banking 1,322 on that one trade. I didn't even consider trading that stock, but the script followed the setup and executed exactly how it was designed to. So overall, I'm happy with the SGN trade. It wasn't massive, but it was good to get back into the rhythm and take a trade I felt confident in. Bot continues to surprise me, following, you know, the plan better than I sometimes do. Still learning from both sides. Let me know if you've caught any of these moves, or if you've ever hesitated just a second too long and missed your entry. Appreciate everyone who's been following along. I will catch you next week. Hei te rā wiki.